Okay, share the screen. It's done. You can see it. A quick initial prayer. So we are again immensely grateful to our Father Almighty for having this opportunity today to study a little bit more about these teachings on mediumship given by the codificator Allan Kardec based on his experience and indicating us what is the real purpose of mediumship and how to use mediumship safely and for the good. May we be receptive to these teachings so that we can put them in practice when the time is coming and give the example around us. May this study today also be useful for the spirits which may be with us today. So be it.
So be it.
Okay, so last time we started, I think it was me, huh? Last time we started this subsection, distinguishing between good and evil spirits. We have seen that the exact identification of who is really X, Y, or Z, Paul, Peter, or John, is in many cases secondary. But what is important is to know which type of spirit is communicating when it's giving a communication. Who do we have in front of us? Is it a good spirit? Is it a spirit with good intention? Or is it a spirit with bad intention trying to mislead us? So how can we detect it as early as possible in order to react and or to be to know that the trust we can put or not in the communications. Okay, so we started also 263. I think we will read it again quickly up to here where we stopped the last time. So as we have stated, we judge spirits by their language in the same way as we do people. Let us suppose that a man receives 20 letters from persons he doesn't know. By their style, ideas, and numerous characteristics, he will be able to tell which are educated and which are uneducated, which are polite or impolite, superficial, profound, frivolous, proud, serious, sentimental, etc. The same applies to spirits. We should regard them as unknown pen pals and ask ourselves what we would think of their knowledge and character if they stated or wrote such things. We can state as an invariable rule without exception that the language of spirits is always correspond to their degree of evolution. Truly high order spirits do not limit themselves to saying only good things, but they say them in terms or in words that absolutely exclude any trivialness. No matter how good statements may appear to be, if they are stained with a single expression of low quality, it provides us with unquestionable sign of inferiority, and even more so if the communication offends social values because of its grossness. So I think it was me last week, maybe. Yes, I think it was me. So I commented already that these spirits who want to hide themselves, they are perfect. They know exactly how to do copy-paste from the gospel, from Kardec, from Chic Xavier, from wherever. So as soon as you see copy-paste from Kardec or Chic Xavier, it's okay. It's good to always to have a reminder, but it's nothing, how to say, new, nothing revolution. What does he want? Just recall some of those lessons, or does the spirit bring that in order to hide something? because I told you last time that one of the technique of the manipulators is they tell you 10 truths, 10 things which are true, or copy paste from somewhere. Then, so if you are not if you lose a little bit your vigilance, you start trusting in them, and then the 11th thing he says is already biased. Is already pushing to something different he want to impose us. So it's a well-known technique of the manipulator here on Earth. I knew personally several of them. And the thing is, you always have to be vigilant. It's not because he say it has 10 truths that he has good intentions, that the 11th thing he will say to you will also be true. And it's the same for the spirits. So the wolf is showing a white, like he's a sheep, but sooner or later you see a part of him which is black, and this is exactly how we are. We need to be careful. So you see, a sign of inferiority, stained with a single expression of low quality. So if you have a copy paste of Kardec and you have there a little sentence which is a single expression of low quality, or grossness, you have immediately up to raise a flag and to say careful. Pablo?
I was just thinking, Charles, when if we say that things happen first up there and then they happen here, so now we are experiencing all this boom of artificial intelligence,
Yes.
which is bringing a lot of astonishment and concern because of the things that we've been seeing, what, for example, scammers can do with AI. So once again, it comes to my mind that it always has to do with content. So because when we see all these wonders that AI can, like, bring people that died back to life and sing, for example, like we've been seeing it happening, like recording new songs, and people have been dead for years and years. So imagine, like, we are seeing this now. Imagine what they have out there at their disposal. So it is always needs to be related to content.
Exactly. Very well. Very, very good, Pablo. And this is why I repeat again, this care that Kardec is advising us to take for mediumship, today it is valid even in our physical life. With the social media, the information you get through the TV channels. You think it's because I know I have a friend, he says, no, it's true because I read it or I heard it on the TV. If you think all what you hear on the TV or all what you read is true, it's already a bad start, because how many people are writing wrong things, and or on the TV, how many channels are influenced and pushing, sending non-objective information. So this care that Kardec is advising us in mediumship, today we have to have this care every day, 24 hours, because you talked about IA. So IA has intelligence only as a name, because artificial intelligence is not intelligent. It is only including the intelligence the programmers have put in it, and also of the data which the data set this artificial intelligence is accessing. So if there is something wrong in the data, or if there is something biased, how do you say biased or biased? Biased, in the programming, the result you will get will not be objective. I made a test once on ChatGPT. The first test I made, do you know Charles Kemp, spiritist, in French, of course. Huh? And yes, we know, blah, blah, blah. It told all my, curriculum. That is normally the people, when they ask me to do something, can you send me a little CV? So I have a file which I sent. So everything came out. And at the end, it said to me, Charles Kemp died 25th of July 2019. I would say, oops, I did not remark this. I
Oh
died
my
without
God.
knowing. And I found that Charles Kemp, say exactly same name as me, living in a village which is 20 kilometers away from here, who really died at that time. But you see, ChatGPT was not able to make the difference between both. And
Yeah.
we are now trying also, for instance, putting questions that we are publishing in the Spirited magazine. What would Gabriel Delan say about IA? Will it be the end of the mediumistic communication and so on? And then looking to the answers given by ChatGPT. And I must say it is 95% okay, rather okay. But there you can see 5%, some mistake or writing something which is in contradiction with the spiritist body of knowledge or something like this. But 95% is okay, you know.
Yeah.
So it's always this, you do not have to, if you watch carefully, you will find out these 5% which are not okay.
Yeah, and I can give an example in my industry. So I work in advertising, and what happened is that a very important director in one of the big companies that are out there. So there was this boarding meeting with like lots of very important people from the company that were together, and it was like a meeting like this one, like it was on Teams, Microsoft Teams, and suddenly they got a call from this very big director, and it was him. It like talked like him, act like him. It was his voice, but it was asking them to transfer money to like a personal account, and like people found that really it shouldn't be. Why would be he asking that? And then the IT team started like looking for what was happening, and it was what they are calling deep fake. So they take image and sound. They take it from videos and interviews and things that people do and are available online, and they reproduce this, and they generate this avatar where it sounds like you, it speaks like you, has your face, but it's not you. So, but the content, once again, people said, well, that shouldn't be real. Why would be asking us to transfer money like for him? So, you know.
So the question here is, should we prohibit ChatGPT, or should we also prohibit mediumship? No, of course no. I give you a positive example now. I'm participating in a group, spiritist group of people who are blind or who lost their vision because of an illness. And they are really, they always have difficulties in order to have, they cannot read the books. So they need someone which is reading the books for them. So there is, since quite some time now, vocal synthesis, but it's this electronic language, and they have a head like that after a couple of minutes. But now with IA, they have these voices with intonations, with like if it would be a real person, or almost like if it would be a new person. So for them, a true person. So for them, it's a revolution. So IA has really very good applications. But as usual, you know the question 932 of the Spirit's book. It says, why are always the bad or evil persons leading the world? Huh? Because they are audacious and they have courage. Huh? When the good will also have some courage, they will start leading the world instead of the bad, of the evil ones. So the hacker and everything are already using IA for hacking. So they are using the tool, which is a good tool, but they are using the tool to do bad. They use the hammer not to put un prego. How do you tell that in English?
Jobs?
Or screw or whatever, you know. They
Nail.
take the hammer to break something or to hit on
Oh,
the
okay,
head of the head of someone, you know. So it is the same for mediumship, the same for IA. You see, we can see now the parallels. So it's not only for mediumship what we are reading here, it's universal. It's for our daily life. And of course, we should not, Spiritism is not against any progress. Spiritism is not against ChatGPT. Spiritism is not against Zoom or internet or whatever. It's the opposite. It is just encouraging the good, right use of them. Voilà. And the same is for IA, ChatGPT. So if you see some grossness or some single expression of low quality inside the message, you should be careful because sorry, there is something that you must pay attention to it. So then you can also investigate where does it come from. It may not be from the spirit. It may be influence of the medium, for instance. You know, it does not significant all systematically mean that it is wrong. But as we have told right now, we really need to pay attention to it and be vigilant and use our common sense, like the example Pablo gave. It shouldn't be. Why is he asking something like that? You know, and this common sense, you must apply it even when it seems to be your boss giving you an order. And I think now this is even a good thing, isn't it? Because even the boss has to stay humble and to allow his reports to pay this type of attention and not to blindly execute what he's asking them to do. So he needs to convince them of the utility of what he's asking them. So we should, of course, use this also for the spirits. Why is the spirits telling this to us or to this group or to me now? It's again the Socratic filter, which is 2,500 years old, but still actual, isn't it? Is it true? Is it good? And is it the right moment for this? And if one of the answers to these three questions is not clearly yes, be careful. Put it on hold and watch and observe. And this is exactly what we have to do on what Kardec is teaching us here. Okay. So language always reveals its origin, whether by thought or by form. Thus, even if a spirit wanted to deceive us with its pretended superiority, we would only have to converse with it for a while to discern its true character. Okay. So to be sure, okay, so for instance, you have a doubt. Ask to the spirit, why do you tell me this? Why do you ask me that? You know? And if you see the answer is confused, for instance, when you are in front of a manipulator in your life, when you detect him and you started challenging him, you will see the reaction immediately. He will get immediately angry, if not violent. And the same happens with the spirits, you know. So it's not a bad thing. I would not say to challenge them violently, but to say, sorry, I have in my heart a doubt about this or that aspect of your message. Can you please clarify? You know, and this is exactly what we have to do with the spirits. And the good spirits, they are reading in our heart, so they know exactly the doubt we have, and they will not give any problem. They are asking us to be careful. They are asking us to pay attention, you know. So if we pay attention, they will not be offended. At the opposite, they say, "Hey, good point, good question, good, clear," and then they come with the answer, which will then give you more confidence. Okay. 264. Benevolence and kindness are also essential attributes of purified spirits. They do not feed hate towards human or other spirits. They pity weakness and criticize error, but always with moderation and without bitterness or animosity. They do not feed hate. Never. When you see someone feeding hate, not a good spirit. But they pity sometimes for the weakness, and they criticize error. So it's always a discussion we have often. We shall not judge. Okay, error is human, so we have to be charitable, which means benevolence, indulgence, and forgiveness. Nevertheless, what we have to do here is discernment to see whether it's a good spirit or not. It does not mean judge the spirits. You see the difference between judgment and discernment? It's not the same. So discernment is absolutely necessary, particularly nowadays. It does not oblige you to judge, you know. Liz?
Hi, Charles. I just wanted to point that it is not about the person. What we should focus is about the action, the practice, the bad practice in itself. Like, obviously, we have to be very careful, and we have to stand up and not accepting bad practices in whatever aspect of life. But we need to be compassionate to the person. We can't mix the person, the spirit in evolution, in progress, with whatever they are doing, which is temporary and something that they are just expressing out of ignorance. So I just wanted to point this difference.
Yes, you're totally right, Liz. You're totally right. And you know, sometimes we think for instance, is something true or not? It's not always easy to answer. There are a lot of points we don't know exactly if they are true or not. A prediction, for instance, you cannot say it is true or not until you wait the time for it to happen or not. So we need to know this to stay humble. We discover the truth only little by little according to the evolution of knowledge, and so we may think something is wrong whilst in the reality it may not be wrong. It may be true or good, you know, or even good. So this is one of the difficulties. Now there are some things which we see here: grossness, bitterness, animosity, violence. This we know it is not according to the teachings we received both by Jesus, or that comes from these universal moral laws that are we can find in all the religions around the world, or in the ethical conceptions we have even in non-religious. You know, there are some things today it's you recognize immediately, no, this is not good. Violence is not good, bitterness is not good, hate is not good, you know. There are things on which we cannot mistake. For the charity, for instance, benevolence, indulgence, and forgiveness. It's you recognize very quickly if something or some behavior of someone is charity or not. You see if someone is a person which is charitable or not. Sometimes you can even be misled. Some people showing goodness, charity, and so on, but with second intentions that are hidden that you cannot detect immediately, you know. That's why even with a person which is charitable, you need to keep this attention always. And until there is a single, you know, behavior where you see the person, he lost control here on this. So is it really serious or not? And this is, you have to evaluate. It's not a question of judgment. What did Jesus do? He loved us all. But when he sees the Pharisees, he was clearly, openly saying, you are full of hypocrisy, you are very nice from outside, but very bad from inside. So he was criticizing them quite strongly. And why did he do that? Because few people were jeopardizing and inducing a lot of other peoples in mistakes. So he was giving priority to the lot of people against only the few ones which are manipulating. So of course Jesus was superior to us. So when he did that, it's because he really detected it. We cannot be as sure as Jesus. But does it mean that we have to stay silent when we see a mistake somewhere? Because we should not judge or because of charity? No, this is omission. The war is not a good thing. We should not stay silent. We should really, at the opposite, do whatever we can to stop the wars, you know. And everything is a question of balance, you know. We have to stay humble because we don't know everything. But on the other hand, we should also not leave wrong things to happen or wrong messages to pass through, because this would be omission on our side, and it could jeopardize not only the image of the Spiritist movement, but could also induce a lot of people in mistake. Okay. If we believe that truly good spirits can want only what is good and say only good things, we must conclude that everything in the language of spirits that denotes a lack of benevolence and kindness cannot have come from a good spirit. Okay, so it's very clear. You must feel the charity all along the message. If there is some too strong statement or whatever, we have to be careful. This is why we also always say good spirits and mentors, they never come and say, you shall do this, you shall do that. They never give orders. They always give advices, or they invite us to think to some aspects, you know, or some phases of what's happening. But they will never say, you shall do this or you shall do that. When you have a spirit giving orders, for instance, it's one clear sign that it's not a good spirit, and it may not be the mentor, even if he's using the name of the mentor itself. Okay. Lise, you have the hand raised. So is it you forget to put it down, or?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Good. So let's continue. 265. Intelligence is far from being a sure sign of moral superiority, because intelligence and morality do not always develop in tandem. A spirit can be good, kind, and of limited knowledge, while an intelligent and educated spirit can be quite inferior morally. So this is also absolutely fundamental to recognize the type of spirits we have in front of us, and they belong in different classes. And I would again take the parallel to the real world or incarnated world. You see, you have spirits which are intelligent but not good, and you have spirits which are good but not intelligent. So as a consequence, you have spirits which are good and intelligence. So those ones, we should really detect them and encourage. Those ones should lead our world. And on the other hand, you have the spirits which are neither intelligent nor good. But those, I would say, are the social cases. These are the brothers still working hard for their evolution, and we should help them. The one which is good and not intelligent, he will have the heart, do whatever he can, whatever he thinks good, but he will lack intelligence to know, to how to say, to give more amplitude to the good he wants to do. And even sometimes, even with the best good faith, goodwill, he can do things which are misleading a little bit, you know. It will not be by bad intention, it will simply be by lack of intelligence. So, but you can trust on him. As soon as you help him, he will immediately have the heart open. You know, this very good collaborator we have. But then you have the other category which is mentioned here, saying spirits which are intelligent and educated, but quite inferior morality. And those one are the worst, isn't it? Those one are the one, they are intelligent and they use their intelligence for bad things, for dominating, for leading wars, for corruption, for pushing advantages to them, and so on. So this is why I tell these spirits which are intelligent but of low morality are the worst. And in an organization, when you have such people, maybe I'm a little bit hard, but it's better try to put them aside or to fire them, even if it's possible, because these people really can destroy a complete organization. And in a non-profit organization like Spiritist Movement, you also have such people. It's not because they read Spiritism that they have stop with selfishness, with pride, and we know it by ourselves, how hard we are fighting to get rid of selfishness and pride, isn't it? So it's just normal that you have such type of people with ambitions, willing to impose their visions and so on, joining the Spiritist movement and messing it up. So it's these things we always have to be extremely careful, and particularly in the messages of, in the communication of the spirits, because you have people which are incarnated like this, you have also spirits like this, obviously. It is generally believed that in questioning the spirits of someone who had been knowledgeable in a certain specialty while on earth, one will more surely obtain the truth. This would seem logical, but nonetheless, it is not always the case, says Kardec. Experience has shown us that scholars, as much as others, men and women, and especially those who left the earth on a short time ago, are still under the control of the prejudices of their corporeal life and are not immediately free of a theorizing mind. It is also the case that, influenced by the ideas that had nourished and provided them with glory during life, they see things with less clarity than we might suppose. However, we do not state this principle is a rule, far from it. Rather, we only warn that this may happen and that as a result, their scholarliness as humans is not always a guarantee of their infallibility as spirits. It's also quite clear, isn't it? Oh, I will ask to this guy because this guy must probably knows. But if he's still under the influence of the prejudice and the idea he had while on Earth. Hello, Guilherme. How are you? Welcome.
Hi, Charles. Hi, everyone.
So he may also give you, even with goodwill, you know, not with bad intention, but he may give you an information which is not the truth. And this is why always discernment, common sense, analyze everything, even coming from a spirit which was knowledgeable on earth, okay? Because our vision on earth, you know, on earth we have blinds, we have the filter of our physical body. So the vision we have, or the spirits have, when they are used to the spiritual life, is a much broader vision, not limited by these material blinds that we are suffering whilst incarnated in our physical body. Okay. 266. What time is it? Yes, we still have time. Guilherme, you want to take over, or?
No, I cannot, Charles. I don't know how long I'll be here.
Okay, you are still in your appointment. Okay, no problem. 266. By submitting all communication to rigorous examination, probing and analyzing their ideas and expressions as if we were appraising a literary work, rejecting without hesitation everything that is contrary to logic and common sense, and everything that belies the character of the spirit who claims to be manifesting, we will be able to discourage deceptive spirits who will thus withdraw, since they will be convinced that they cannot deceive us. So what is the vaccine? What is the remedy? What is the best prevention for falling in these traps? You see, rigorous examination, probing and analyzing the ideas and expressions. Okay. So again, always making this analysis, always. And I would say more. So Kardec, of course, I think he was really a master in this. We can see it now with the documents who appeared in 2018, where some binders, working binders of Kardec have been found. He received a lot of communication which were not good, and never ever not even talked about them, So he just put them so immediately that it is not good, applying this criteria, and put them aside. And then only now some of them appeared. And I have seen recently a post about communication of the spirit of Lazarus to the medium Alice Dambel in 1863. So when Dambel already shifted a little bit to the wrong side, to the side of bad influence for the spirits. And it's very clear. It was not the same Lazarus that has from which we have seen a lot of communication in the medium's book and in the rest of the codification. And Kardec was really a master in detecting this. So we have not the level of Kardec, but of course, if I read something and I have a doubt, I will call, I don't know, Pablo, I will call Guilherme. Hey, Guilherme, Pablo, what do you think about this message? Take other opinions, And then by having several opinions, we may reach, how to say, a very good and strong filter. And this is why we always say when we start getting messages in a spiritist group, for instance, in a mediumistic meeting, it should be a meeting, should not be one person alone. And I would say even more, even a group can be collectively fascinated. There are unfortunately some examples of that, because the people fascinating by something, there is also a law of attraction between them. But if the group stays open and stay with contact to other groups, you see, kind of a more open contact, then again it gives a stronger safety.
And Charles, I think it's always interesting to remind everybody that good spirits will not be offended if you put their communication to be analyzed. They won't be offended by it.
But they are asking us to do it.
Yeah.
How can they be offended if we do something they ask us to do? They cannot.
Recently,
and then they will answer in a way that without hesitation, that we remove any hesitation.
Recently, in one of our meetings, we had a perfect example. The spirit was saying things we want to hear, things that were touching our wishes, basically. but he slept a word or two that was not in line with what we do, right? And that creates like a doubt, and then we start to asking questions. And that was a very good example we had recently in a Thursday meeting. Very good.
And what he's saying here as well is, if you use this rigorous examination, the spirits which try to cheat you, but they will go away because they see they lose their time. They are not able to cheat you, you know. But what they do then sometimes is what happened in the case of Kardec. They saw not possible to cheat Kardec, but they started to cheat and to fascinate Alice Dambel. You know, they take one medium, the other medium, in order to destabilize the group. But in reality, when you think about, they do not destabilize the group. They just take advantage of some weak members of the group. You know, and Kardec was really exemplar in this case of Alice Dambel. He never put him out. He always stayed behind him, trying to give advices, doing his utmost to helping coming out of this fascination and so on. So if really Alice Dambel would have had a little bit of humility and whatever, Kardec would have saved him. Now we know also that the most difficult cases for which we can not do a lot to help them are fascination, isn't it? A person which is fascinated, absolutely sure that the spirit which is with her is the best one and has the absolute truth. As soon as you start saying or suggesting a little bit something that it may not be that truth, he will immediately is isolate from you. You know, it's very difficult to help persons which entered in a process of fascination. So this was exactly what happened with Alice Dambel. And unfortunately, 2 years after, I think 1866, he committed suicide because the magazine he made did not have a lot of success. The people who saw these insanities he was publishing and with the signature of Erast stopped buying it. So he had debts and so on, and unfortunately a bad end. And even Kardec was made an article in the Spiritist magazine about this. Even so, favorable to Alice Dambel, and also criticizing the press, who was, you see, the spiritists, they are committing suicide and so on, who was heavily criticizing because of the position he had. But that's life. We need to be patient.
Charles, there is something that we need to be very careful, is when we create our own truth. So then we start to believe heavily in our truth. And then is the beginning, or I would say is a recipe for a disaster, because then we don't want to listen to anyone. I don't want to listen to my colleagues. I don't want to listen to people with more experience. I don't want to believe in what is written, for example, in Kardec's book. I would start to say Kardec's wrong. All sort of things like that. We need to be very careful, because this can end up very badly.
And what is it, Guilherme? It's pride, excessive pride. And the selfishness and pride are really the best way to sleep on the wrong side. So the one we need always to fight against and to stay humble. If something come to us and say us, hey, Charles, what you said may not be true. There is where you get a shock, an emotion, kind of an anger, but then you need to control it with your sentiments and say, okay, so maybe you may be right, so can you please tell me more, and that's the right attitude. And then go to see some others as well and cross-check and whatever, do whatever precaution you need, but stay humble always. Because the excessive pride is really the best way, it's a highway to fascination or obsession. And here you see, if we do this rigorous work, the bad spirits will withdraw, and then, of course, it will leave more space for the good ones. You know, you enter in the virtuous circle. You sigh out of the vicious circle. Okay. There is something happening here. I cannot do a lot. Okay. We will repeat that this is the sole means, but it is nevertheless infallible, for no evil communication can bear up under rigorous criticism. For no evil communication can bear up under rigorous criticism. Rigorous criticism, rigorous examination, you see, this is what we have to do always. Good spirits, this is exactly what we said, are never offended at such examination, because they have nothing to fear, and they themselves have counseled us to proceed in this manner. Only evil ones are offended and try to dissuade us, since they have everything to lose, an attitude that proves who they really are. You see, this is another evaluation here, which is very clear, that it will not mislead you, never. Yes, we have still 10 minutes. Here is the advice that Saint Louis has given on the matter. No matter how legitimate the trust that the directing spirits of your works may inspire to you, there is a recommendation that can never be repeated too often, and which you must always bear in mind as you pursue your studies. Wait and analyze all the communications you receive, submitting them to the most rigorous control of reason. Whenever anything appears to be suspect, doubtful, or obscure, do not neglect asking for all the explanations needed to form your opinion. So you see, good spirits saying us what we have to do. So well, this is now crystal clear, but if there is something which is not clear, and this is what, when you see Kardec was proceeding like this, even in the Gospel according to Spiritism, you have some communication, then he makes some question, yes, but do you mean this? And then, no, then, but really, you know, sometimes 2 or 3 questions are following the communication, and it's exactly what Saint Louis is advising here. So Kardec applied that rigorously, and this, you know, today we have the result in hands. We have these books, we have the body of knowledge with tens of millions of persons following it today around the world, also much more along these 160 years between both. So it is really something solid and trustable. Okay. Yet, Kardec always stating very clearly the progressive character of the Spiritist body of knowledge. If sometime science or whatever is coming and with evidences that Spiritist body of knowledge is incomplete or wrong on some aspect, Spiritist body of knowledge will change. This does not mean if someone is coming and I think it is not like this, it is like something else, giving a personal opinion, that's another thing. So it should be really with evidences, and a kind of if this would happen anyhow, it will be some universal, it will come at several places at the same time and not through a single person or a single medium or a single group or whatever. Okay. And
Charles,
to my knowledge, it did not happen so far. Yes, Guillaume?
Charles, through those research, through those studies we do, so far, I could not see anything that we could come and say Kardec was wrong. I could see things that, due to the evolution of science, we could say the answer we have here could be incomplete. But I could not see anything that I could raise my hand and say, yeah, this is wrong. Not yet.
So at least for all the fundamental topics, none has been demonstrated as being false. We have a spirit, we have a soul. The soul survives after the death. It reincarnating. It can communicate between souls and incarnated through mediumship. All these fundamentals are totally unchanged. I know some examples where some different, but it's on details with some different explanation or interpretation. For instance, Kardec is talking about the writing medium, isn't it? He was taking first, it was a basket with a pen, then it was whatever, a piece of wood also with some wheels and a pen. And then, okay, the medium took the pen directly on his hand and was writing. The spirit was acting directly on the hand of the medium. This is what Kardec is teaching. And when you read Delan, after some decades of progress of science and including neuroscience, Delan was writing, Kardec wrote this, but it seems that it is not the spirits do not act directly on the hand of the medium, but act on the brain, on the motor centers of the hand to make it writing. You see the difference? So it's really a secondary point. And then another example that comes in my mind is when Kardec is describing the incarnation, that the spirit which is incarnated early after the conception is binding molecule by molecule. And some people said it's maybe a little bit too much because, you know, a cell, the first cell, which is the ovulus after fecundation, is including millions of molecules or even much more molecules, you know. And the people were saying, no, it's maybe binding cell by cell, you know. But the latest researchers by Marlene Nobre and the Spiritist Medical Association, they come a little bit back to this, saying, yeah, maybe cell by cell is a shortcut, and it's rather molecule by molecule, you know. So it's a point which is questioned a little bit according to the progress of science, yet not yet demonstrated as being false. But you know, all these two examples I gave are details, are secondary points which do not change anything on the fundamental points. Voilà. 5 minutes still. So let's start 267. Let's sum up the means for recognizing the quality of spirits in the following principle. First, there is no other criterion for discerning the worth of spirits except common sense. Any other formula towards this end, even given by spirits themselves, even if given by spirits themselves, is absurd and could not have come from a highly evolved spirits. Okay. So there is no formula to detect if a message is good or not. It's common sense that has to detect it. Second, we judge spirits by their language and actions. Spirits' actions involve the sentiments they inspire and the counsels they provide. Okay. 3, accepting the fact that good spirits can only say and do what is good, then everything that is bad cannot have come from a good spirit. Obvious, isn't it?
Charles, there is something you said that even if a message is positive from the beginning to the end, I would not react in this message before we have a sequence of messages to prove that is a constant level of information, that this very person is what he's saying, you know, that never jump into conclusions that quickly. Never.
You're right. A single message may be fake. Good, very well masked fake. But you know what is doing the strength of Saint Louis and of Erastus or of André Louis or Emmanuel or Joanna de Angelis? It is exactly what Guilherme is saying. Since they are good from the beginning until the end, over a long period and so on. Not just on one single message or 2 or 3 messages only. So this is why this control has to be done permanently, you know. Okay, this first message, nothing wrong in it. Why not? Huh? And then the second message from the Spain spirit, there is something strange. So we should put the first one together with the second one and see them as a whole. Huh? Let's do the fourth point. The language of high order spirits is always noble, elevated, and dignified without any mixture of trivialness. They state everything simply and modestly. They never boast, and they never make a show of their wisdom to their position among the other spirits. The language of low order or ordinary spirits always contains some reflection of the human passions. Every expression that reveals low character, self-importance, arrogance, boastfulness, or sarcasm is a sure sign of inferiority and deceitfulness if the spirit presents itself using a respectful and venerated name. Okay, I think it's also crystal clear. Huh? I will not comment unless some of you have a questions. If not, let's go to item 5. We must not judge spirits according to the formality and correctness of their style, but much probe their inner character and analyze their words, coolly and maturely weighting them unhesitatingly. Any absence of logic, reason, and prudence can leave no doubt as to a spirit's origin, whatever may be the name it uses to adorn itself. Okay, also quite clear, isn't it? So the formality and correctness of their style. So this is also another remark Kardec was doing, because sometimes in the messages there are some orthographic or grammatical mistakes, you know, but there were grammatical mistakes in the good messages of St. Louis and Erastus via the mediums, you know. So this grammatical and formal, as he says, formality mistakes are due to the mediumship process itself, and sometimes introduced by the medium. You know, so this is a pure form aspect. But when he talks about the language, it's the content, the way it is said, and so on. You can have a very nice message wrote with wrong orthography or wrong grammatical, you know. But the message, you need to catch the intention, the content, of course, and also the way it is said, and not if there is a mistake or missing an S or here or there. Okay. So I think it's our time, or almost our time. So we will stop here because there are still, you see, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we will restart then next week from Tagada, eating 6. Okay. Voilà. Okay. So someone candidate for a quick closing prayer?
Charles, I think you can.
Yes, you told us, Raphael.
Yes.
So let's go.
You can stop the recording now if you want.
Okay.
Thank you. And let me just, for the ones that were not in the beginning, have some people joining us as well. So as a